Hey everybody, this is Jill.
And this is Caryn.
And you're listening to Scream Girl Squad. All right, everybody. So, Caryn and I thought it would be good to watch a Christmas horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the only one we could think of was Krampus, which is amazing, but we both have seen it.
Several times.
Several times. So we were trying to come up with something that we hadn't seen. So, we Googled Christmas horror movies, and the first one that came up was called Anna and the Apocalypse.
Oh, alphabetization. You got me again.
And we immediately looked into it, and it said horror comedy musical about zombies. And we watched the trailer, and after 30 seconds, we were like, yes, done. We're in. All hands on deck. And then we watched it.
Yeah.
And it was rated really well.
Yeah, it had 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, which for a horror movie, as you know, that's pretty dang high.
Really high.
Honestly, a horror movie getting above 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Big deal.
It's a big deal, yeah.
So we were super jazzed about it. We'll make some comparisons later for you, unless you want to right now.
I feel like it's worth before we get into spoilers.
Sure.
Definitely, because it's the tone thing.
Yeah. This movie couldn't decide if it was going to be funny or serious. So it was sort of Vampire Diaries meets Grey's Anatomy meets
High School Musical.
High School Musical meets Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog and Sweeney Todd and
a pinch of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina
and
for flavor.
A tiny attempt to be Shaun of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it was British and there were zombies and there were definitely a few similarities here and there. But yeah, all of these things kind of blurred into one.
Yeah, I think that they tried to pay homage to too many things at once, maybe.
Maybe.
And I also, once again, partway through the movie, I turned to Jill and said, are we the target audience for this? Because I feel like I might not be. Kind of like with Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, where that movie didn't work with me because I'm not who it was made for.
Yeah.
But I don't know who this was made for.
Because honestly, it should be made for me.
Right, yeah.
Jill I freaking love musicals.
Yeah.
This also felt a little bit like the musical episode of TV shows that don't need musical episodes.
Oh, yeah, like when Scrubs would do a musical episode.
Yeah, Scrubs, Buffy, ER, How I Met Your Mother.
Wait,
they all would
back
sort
up.
of...
ER didn't
Sorry,
do a
not
musical
ER,
episode.
Grey's Anatomy.
Okay, I mean...
Grey's Anatomy.
Not that I would know definitively, because I haven't seen
ER
every
did
episode
not.
of ER, but...
No. My other favorite doctor show. So, yeah. I was just... Anyway, I love musicals. I love zombies. I love horror comedies. This should be my favorite movie in the entire world. Mm-hmm. And honestly, parts of it were.
Parts of it were great.
The first half of this movie, I was like... Yes, 1,000 times yes. This is everything I wanted and more. And then it got worse.
Yeah. Well, and I had this thing happen to me that happens to me a lot with people that I love very dearly, like Jill. And it's this thing where I love you so much that sometimes, even though I know I don't like a particular type of thing, I'm like, but I'll be experiencing it with Jill, so it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And 15 minutes into this movie, I thought, wait a minute, I hate musicals. What am I doing here?
It's funny because I feel like you've softened to musicals a little lately. You've gone to a few more productions with your mom.
Yes.
Things like that. And so, when we brought it up, I kind of was like, well, Caryn's not going to watch this. And they were like, heck yes, let's do it. And I was like, okay. She's down for this.
Because if someone I didn't like showed me that trailer, I would have said, no, it's a musical. I have very, very particular standards for musicals. For example, I've decided my favorite musical ever is Beautiful.
Right.
And that's not really a musical in the true formula.
It's a musical, for those of you who don't know, it's a musical based on the life of Carole King.
Mm-hmm.
And there's sort of this new style. Well, it's not really new, but it's kind of becoming more popular lately that they build musicals around someone's musical career. Mm-hmm. So there's this one, there's a Temptations one, there's a Jersey Boys one. Jersey Boys, sorry, is the Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. So there's a few of these that are coming out that are becoming more popular. And this is totally one of those that works because it's a musical, but because it's about a musician.
Yeah, well, and the
so
songs
it's like the
sing,
songs are somebody's on stage or in a recording studio,
yes,
or it fits in that way, or they're writing a song more than we're just stopping in the middle of the street to sing a musical number.
Yes,
which is different.
Well, and I laughed in this movie because the example that I use all the time when I'm ranting about musicals is that for no reason at all, a bunch of teenagers in a cafeteria stand up on tables and start singing.
Funny story. That happens.
So I guess before we get too deep into the weeds and I climb up on my big fat what is horse soapbox and Jill gets up on her musical extravaganza mystery tour, maybe we should probably do a synopsis and read it, I guess.
Sure.
So Anna and the Apocalypse is about a teenage girl named Anna
who goes to high school. Her dad's a teacher. The zombie apocalypse happens, and they all have to fight for their lives.
At Christmas.
Yep. Sort of. I mean, it's at Christmas. It was like barely.
Yeah. Like some of the best parts of the movie were the Christmas related stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah. All right.
So just as a reminder, we rate things on enjoyability and fright factor. Enjoyability we base off some sort of snack food. Hashtag munch mouth. 1 out of 5. And then fright factor, 1 out of 5 from something from the movie.
Some element of fear from the movie.
Yes. So, Caryn, 1 out of 5 sprinkle cookies.
Oh my gosh, the sprinkle cookies.
I made her cookies.
I feel like that you need to share this recipe on our Facebook feed or something because these cookies are amazing.
But then I'm not special.
Oh, okay, yeah. They do have to be Jill's special cream sprinkle cookies. Okay, so scale of 1 to 5. How much did I... Okay, I changed a lot during the movie. I literally was like writing down little stars, one of the 5 shapes I know how to draw, and what I was giving it a star for. I gave it a star for creative zombie deaths because
that's fair.
There were a lot of them that were like laugh out loud.
Loved it.
Oops. Just making
and like I said, the whole entire first half of this movie, I freaking loved.
Yeah.
I was sure this was going to be one of my favorites, and I was going to go home and make my girls watch it because I knew they'd love it.
I then gave it a star for humor. And then it got funnier, and I gave it a 2nd star for humor. And then the more the movie went on and the less funny it got, like the longer amount of time between jokes and the more serious it got and the more Vampire Diaries level dramatic moments there were, the more I had to like take away from that rating.
Yep.
So for me in the end, honestly, this was like a 1.5 stars. I wanted to like it so much more. And I friggin' hate not liking movies. Like, I hate that moment when we're watching something for the podcast and I realize, crap, I don't like this movie.
I agree with you. Well, and I, like, honestly, the first little bit, I was like, I'm going to rate this 4 stars. I freaking love this movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is fantastic. And it went on, and I was like, this movie can't decide whether it wants to be funny or serious. And I took it down a couple notches, and I probably would end up with a 2. Because I
2
still,
is fair.
I mean, out of 5 stars, the first half of the movie I loved. So 2 feels fair.
Yeah. Well, and I would bump my score up by a 0.5 star for the sake of actually pretty clever songwriting.
Right.
Because some of the lyrics
actually
were,
talented people.
Yeah, good
singing
singers.
The songs. Yeah.
Clever lyrics. Some of the songs coupled like 80s masculinity with ridiculous falsetto tones and really good visual comedy going on in the background of some of these songs. So I think 2 is fair.
Yeah.
How about fright rating, Jill, on a scale of 1 to 5 singing teenagers?
0.
Yeah, not scary.
Yeah, I didn't even feel tense about it.
Mm-mm.
Which we can get into later, but yeah, I didn't, nope, 0.
Yeah. Can I get up on an itsy bitsy soapbox?
Yes.
And it's not so much of a soapbox as it is an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like horror across all mediums is one of the most difficult to classify and one of the most subjective genres.
Sure.
I think it's really easy to identify like, oh, that's a comedy, or at least it's trying to be a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely like period dramas and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but horror, I feel like sometimes a movie will get classified as horror just because it has particular types of tropes in it. Like, oh, it has zombies or vampires or a serial killer, so it must be horror.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it doesn't present that material in a frightening way.
Yeah. Like, comparing this to Krampus, for example, which we didn't watch, but is the perfect explanation of a horror comedy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, am I watching a horror movie or am I watching a comedy? Like, at first, I wasn't honestly sure.
Like a true blend of the genres.
Yeah. Like, there were definite creepy moments, and they set up that scariness in a really good way, and but then also had hysterical moments, which were so great. And so, yeah, this one didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
So
I did do zombies very well. The makeup team, I think, should be really proud of what they did.
Absolutely.
Some of the zombie makeups were excellent.
Way good.
So, and I have a kind of hard time with zombie horror anyway, because sometimes I feel like zombie horror, if it was anything other than the undead, would really just be a war movie.
Oh, I completely agree with that. Yeah.
Because war is exactly the same level of scary for me.
Like, it's not like a fear thing. It's like a concern.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because fear can be concern, you know, like I'd be fearful if someone I loved was off at war, if I myself was off at war. There would be a level of fear.
Like,
but not like
still involved.
Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a difference between
terror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's me. That's why I feel comfortable giving this a 0, even though it says horror on IMDb. I think it's
a lie.
Yeah, really what it is a musical. It's high school comedy. Musical with zombies.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yep.
So that's the rating.
And our synopsis and a little bit about why we didn't like it. So.
And now on to the highlight of the evening, which I kind of want to talk about before we get into the actual breakdown of the movie.
Sure.
So Jill and I watched this film for free on Amazon Prime, which honestly was kind of one of its selling points for me when I saw that, and we wouldn't have to pay to rent it.
Plus, I'm real glad we didn't waste any money on this. So. Yeah. So after you finish watching a movie on Amazon Prime, at the bottom it shows you other recommendations that are kind of cut off by the TV. Uh-huh.
And I go take care of feeding the cats, and I come back and Jill says, I think that movie is called The Velocipaster. And it was.
So then we had to watch a trailer.
Oh, naturally.
But
the synopsis.
Yeah, the synopsis is that a pastor turns into a velociraptor and a prostitute convinces him to kill bad guys.
Yes. Couple things. It's Velocipaster, but he's a Catholic priest. But they keep calling him a Catholic pastor. I mean, that's just like a semantics thing, I guess. But already I'm like, you know exactly what you're doing.
Velocipriest? That didn't work?
No, it doesn't.
I know.
You had to lean into Velocipaster. Secondly, he's sleeping with a prostitute. Thirdly, he decides to fight crime. It's kind of like when you ask somebody if they've seen Kung Fury and they haven't, and you get to explain to them what Kung Fury is about.
And then try to get them to watch a little bit of it.
For those of you that don't know, Kung Fury is about a time-traveling police officer in the 80s who has a dinosaur-like cop associate named Triceracop.
Yep.
And he has to go back in time to defeat the Kung Fuhrer, i.e. Hitler, who's gaining power through the power of Kung Fu.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and it's 20 minutes long.
Hilarious.
So good. Anyway, so Velocipaster, we have to watch it.
Just to give you a little glimpse of what this, watch the trailer, because it's hilarious, A. But B, it's like somebody has a dinosaur puppet, and they, like, are menacing people with it just inside the camera frame.
Oh, but so much of the dialogue, though, is there's, like, shots of a guy in a confessional and in a pretty terrible mafia accent. He's talking about, like, oh, it's been a long time since I confessed. You know, I've been killing people.
Doing drugs.
Stealing from
selling
people.
drugs.
And then all of a sudden the Velociraptor claw, like, rips through the confessional screen and, like, claws his throat open.
For some reason.
And then the narrator says, the Velocipaster.
Yeah.
And then next scene, the prostitute is talking to the Velocipaster, and she's like, that was so much fun last night. He's like, what was so much fun? And she says, when we both turned into raptors or dinosaurs.
Oh, yes. Yeah, like when you turned into a dinosaur and killed all those people. And he goes, what?
With like a total zoom in on his eyes. The Velocipaster. Oh. I wouldn't even be sad if they didn't really make a movie. They just made a preview.
Agreed.
But I'm pretty sure it's a real movie.
Yeah.
Because I think it had a runtime.
Dinosaur puppets menacing people always wins.
Yes. So, should we dive in and talk about spoilers?
All right. Let's do this thing.
Spoiler time. Spoilers.
So, this might be a little quick. Because, honestly, there's not a ton to talk about. So...
Okay, and right there, that's one of my problems with musicals. I feel like there's two ways it can go with musicals.
Yes.
Sometimes songs feel like filler, you know?
I feel like I need to... So, those of you who don't know, I'm a huge musical nerd on top of a horror movie nerd. So, yeah, I'm one of those people. So, I love... when musicals can take a song and enhance the story and the emotion and the feeling of some particular part of a show in a way that words alone cannot do. Because music moves people, right? That's the whole thing behind music, right? It's to incite feelings in people. So to me, when they stop and break into song, it isn't always a bad thing because they add this extra special thing, right? Yeah. But sometimes there are definite musicals, Clue the musical, for example, that just start singing songs for the sake of singing songs. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
So some things don't need to be a musical.
Well, and I definitely like you're saying, you know, sometimes a song in a musical can help you get to know a character better. Because it's kind of like they're turning away from the action and they're singing this inner monologue and we get to get a feeling for where their head is at. I like that kind of stuff. But sometimes I feel like someone tried to write a play and they realized it was clocking in at 30 minutes. And so they stuffed it full of like an entire act's worth of songs.
To be honest, this is also how I feel about An American in Paris. We don't have a very good story, and none of these people are likable, so let's have people dance ballet at you for an hour and a half. That'll make it better. It doesn't.
There are some things that are so much worse when they're done at you than in front of you.
When you feel like you're being held against your will. Anywho.
Yeah. So, sorry, I told you this is going to be like Soapbox Central.
Well, and you said you were going to get me on musical tangent and let me fly free. So.
It's true.
Okay, so the movie starts out, they're driving in a car. It's like two teenage kids and one of their dads. It's
the girl's dad.
Anna's dad. Yeah. they're kind of just chit-chatting, whatever. The radio starts talking about this deadly virus. It's fatal, blah, 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 blah. Anna leans up, turns the radio station.
To Christmas music. And everyone's happy.
And then they get to school. And, Anna announces that she's going to travel instead of go to uni.
Because they're in Scotland.
Yeah. University. So Dad is pissed. He's a teacher. So he's like way mad. And he's like, you have to get your education.
Is he a teacher? They kept calling him a janitor, like with a derogatory tone.
Oh, I thought he was a teacher. I think
that's why the other teacher was kind of holier than thou toward Anna's dad, because he's like a member of the school's staff and isn't an educator.
Cool. That could be it.
Anyway.
So maybe he wants a better life for his daughter than
like he wants her to get a degree.
Point
he
is,
have one.
He works at the school. He's mad she doesn't want an education.
Yeah.
And her best friend kind of lets the cat out of the bag.
Yeah.
So
her best friend is kind of like an immediate doofus.
He's wearing a Christmas sweater. And he just looks like a big old nerd.
He's got Christmas cookie dust all over his face.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't judge him for that because I probably have some right now.
I mean, he's kind of a doofus, but he seems like a lovable doofus.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like your favorite.
You love him already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all had one of those in our lives. I've got Caryn. Hey!
I felt it coming in my bones.
I almost didn't do it, but I had to.
Punish you by eating this cookie at you.
Fine. They walk into the school. They instantly meet this douchey teacher who really is the assistant principal. I can talk. And he's talking to this really cute blonde girl who like tried to write something on the school blog. And he was like, nope. And I'm not going to publish it. And he was really mean to her. And then he was like, I told you not to park your car there or I'd confiscate it. Hand me your keys. And like takes her car keys.
Which, how can you confiscate a car?
Right? Like, I don't feel like have it towed, but you can't confiscate somebody's car. But he said like, park it on school property and it's school property or something. Yeah. Totally dumb. And you just immediately hate this man. Like, they clearly set him up to be the villain from the get-go.
And they gave him a name like Mr. Savage, which is...
Sure.
Kind of and he is played by Thoros of Myr from Game of Thrones. And he basically looks the same except for showered and with a neatly trimmed beard because he's in modern times.
That's fair.
Yeah. No flaming sword.
So they're walking down the school hallway and Anna starts singing about needing to get away. And it turns into a big group number, like one by one. She starts singing, and then her buddy John starts singing in the locker room because he gets picked on. And then the blonde girl, whose name is not blonde girl. Steph. I'm going to call her Blondie. So Blondie starts singing. I can't remember. I don't think anybody else does. But they all sing about how they want to get away. And it kind of turns into this whole big group number.
Yeah.
We all have to break away. And I was pleasantly surprised because at this point it felt like a musical episode of Buffy or Grey's Anatomy or something like that. And I was like, hey, these people actually are talented singers. Which when you're making a movie musical, you should use people with talented singing voices. But for some reason that really surprised me.
Because sometimes they bring in a big name actor who can't actually sing very well, and they give him a very important role in a very iconic musical.
Russell Crowe, cough, cough. Listen, this is another tangent. Okay, they made a 25th anniversary concert of Les Mis. They put Nick Jonas in it, but with the likes of like these freaking amazing Broadway stars who can sing the pants off of anybody on the planet, I swear. So Nick Jonas, in his own right, perfectly talented, fine, well, whatever. Not my cup of tea, but somebody's, right? He's a talented individual. Stick him on a Broadway stage, and he's ridiculous and doesn't fit at all, right? And so I have this thing where I compare people. He's the Nick Jonas of blah, 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 blah. So Russell Crowe is the Nick Jonas of the Les Mis movie. Fine in his own right? Like he has a rock band. He's actually kind of a talented musician. But put him in a movie with like Hugh Jackman and Aaron Tveit, and guess what? Nobody cares.
Yeah, it's kind of not doing him a favor.
His own, right? Like either put Broadway stars in something or put movie stars who can sing in something. Like Eddie Redmayne was in it, and he like did musical theater. He does that. He has that background.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
that's who we were talking about right before the movie started, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So like the other people they put in it are like trained musicians with a musical background or Broadway people, and then they used Russell Crowe. So he just didn't quite fit. So I was kind of expecting a little bit of that, and there wasn't. Everyone was extremely talented and very well, sang really well.
Yeah, or at the very least, they didn't toss in somebody whose star shines so brightly that it dims everyone else's.
Right. Like, I didn't recognize any of these people.
Yeah, apart from Thoros of Mir, none of them are familiar to me.
And so I think they were all cast based on their musical abilities, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so, I wonder if maybe they're in stage productions or something.
No Broadway people I recognize.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is mainly
it's
Scotland,
possible.
So.
It's possible that they
were in West
do
End
stuff in West End. Yeah.
Look at me, I know things.
Which usually I have seen some crossover to Broadway of. But yeah, I mean, it's possible that they're known in their own right. But anyway, they were really talented. And I was pretty impressed the whole time.
That's why I was willing to bump it up that extra half star.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, the performances in this film were pretty solid. Mm-hmm. Except for the moments where it really delved too deeply into that, is this on the CW or what's going on type moments.
But even then, like, it couldn't figure out what feeling it wanted to be, but the songs were good and performed well.
Well, and I should say, like, the songs definitely are not my cup of tea, as Jill just used that same metaphor or whatever. But they reminded me in quality and tone of a Canadian television show Jill and I got addicted to called Instant Star.
We loved it when we were like 18 or 19. We used to ditch our boyfriends and go home early so we could watch it.
Yeah, on the noggin.
Yeah. Would be like, oh, Jill doesn't feel good. We have to go home.
Yeah.
To go watch our Canadian TV shows.
Oh, I love those Canadian TV shows.
I know.
But Instant Star had a lot of musical numbers that were kind of like the beautiful style musicals Jill was describing earlier, because the main character wins like an American Idol style contest and gets a recording contract. But she's honestly not that talented of a musician, so her producer, played by Tim, is it Rozon?
I have no idea.
He's been in a lot of other, like, his career is blowing up right now.
Yeah.
Tim Rozon or Rozone, however you say it. He's on Winona Earp and Schitt's Creek.
Will always be Tommy to me.
Yeah. When I finally realized it was him on Schitt's Creek, I freaked out because he has this thick beard on that show. Yeah. And of course, Instant Star was like 15 to 17 years ago.
He was like the baby-faced boy band member.
Yeah, he's in his early 20s in that TV show. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure now he's older than we are.
Right.
So all through Schitt's Creek, I was like, this guy's kind of familiar. Like, his vocal quality is familiar. He's got these piercing blue eyes. And then in one episode, he shaves his beard, and I was like, little Tommy Cute from Instant Star. What is happening? So, anyway.
Yeah, good times.
If you can, watch Instant Star. Or don't, because then you'll watch it and be like, what the hell did they tell me to watch? Like, a horrible taste in these women having things. It's not like we've watched it since.
That's a lie.
What?
I watched it a little.
Did you really? How? Mm-hmm.
Amazon Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, no, I bought it. It was like $10 one day, and I was like, I don't remember this show. And then Rachel and I started watching, so I had to buy the rest of it.
So you rewatched the whole thing?
Yeah.
What? I'm so envious.
It's on my Amazon Prime. We can watch it anytime you want. It's not good.
I mean,
but it's fun for nostalgia's sake.
I have the soundtracks over there.
Yeah.
Kelly bought them for me the first Christmas we were married.
Yeah. Because we were like 19, and that's when we were watching this show.
Yep. Anyway, we were talking about a movie, right?
Were we?
So
I forget.
So there's a musical number. Anna's sad. Anna wants to go to Australia, and she's sad because
she just wants to go off and live her life.
Yeah.
And
she's got that high school senior angst.
Yes.
That I think we all remember.
So then they go to the cafeteria. Honestly, this movie, it did not do well with transitions, which I kind of mentioned to Caryn when we were watching it, is it was like all of a sudden they would just be somewhere and you were like, cool.
Sometimes I wasn't actually sure where they were.
Right. So they're in the cafeteria. They're all having lunch. Anna's best friend is clearly in love with her. Everything she says, everything he does, he has googly eyes all over the place. Her ex-boyfriend walks in. He's clearly jealous.
And kind of clearly a butt face.
Yeah.
His name is Nick. And in my notes, I called him Bully Nick. Because the first time you see him, he has just thrown a cookie at a girl with asthma and made her cry. Yeah. And he thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah. He's not good people. And they kind of give her crap for it. And her best friend is there with her boyfriend as well. I referred to them as best friend and boyfriend through my whole notes. You all know how I operate by this point. I give people names that I don't know or remember their actual names. Best friend and boyfriend are like making out and being all gross. And then they start giving Anna crap for dating this guy. Like her best friend's like, I mean, I get that you want to like, what did she say? Like lick chocolate off his abs. But, like, nothing beyond that, because gross. And then she's like, wait, I mean, like, well, you did, but I wouldn't, but somebody did. A lot of people did. Like, just puts her foot in her mouth, and you immediately just think she's the cutest, quirkiest little awkward thing. And the whole time Anna's like, yeah, it's fine. I know I suck. It's fine. We've all dated someone we're not proud of.
Oh, so. Yeah. I mean, if you haven't, are you even living your life right?
Right?
That's how I justify my past.
Hey, we lived.
We did.
And you ended up with Kelly, so it's fine.
Well, I like to think about it like this. I feel like unless you've dated people that are completely wrong for you, and they're probably great people, and they have redeeming qualities, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, like, any of my exes are the spawn of Satan or something.
Oh, yeah.
But, like...
Well, I might. No, it's fine.
But, you know, by and large, the real crux of the matter is that they're not right for you. And so I think that if you don't date people that are wrong for you, then you don't even recognize it when you find that the people that are right for you. Mm-hmm. And so it makes you appreciate them that much more.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. Sometimes when I hear people complaining about petty things about their spouses, I'm like, did you marry like the first person you latched onto or something? Do you not see how good they are for you, and you're complaining about the fact that they have weird shoe tying habits? I don't know. That's a bad example.
As I like to say when people complain about things that they shouldn't, I like to quote the faculty when he says, aliens are taking over the world, weigh it. Just saying. Sometimes you shouldn't focus on the little things.
This has been another life lesson from the cinematic classic, The Faculty.
Just saying. It works. Mm-hmm. Just repeat it to yourself. Anywho, we were watching a movie, so... So they're sitting in the cafeteria, and they all break into song again. Mm-hmm. Corinne's favorite High School Musical part.
This is what made me think. I actually turned to Jill and said... Are they spoofing High School Musical? Is that why they're singing?
Yeah. Well, and they sing this song called No Such Thing as a Hollywood Ending, which honestly didn't super fit with the story. So it was that thing Caryn was talking about where, at least the first one where she's like, I just have to get away, that kind of fit.
Yeah.
And this one, they literally weren't talking about anything. And then they just were like, there's no such thing as a Hollywood ending, and go off on this huge musical number that every single person in the cafeteria joins into, including the lunch lady. And why?
I figured out why.
Why?
We got to skip all the way forward to the end when, as the end thing is happening, this song is playing softly in the background.
Well, I get that. Like, they did it so they can use it in the end.
Yep, that's the only reason the song was there.
But they should have segued it a little better.
Yeah, totally. It made me think
came out of nowhere.
It's like on The Office when they go to see the Sweeney Todd musical that Andy is in.
Yeah.
And someone's trying to talk to Daryl while the overture is playing.
Yeah.
And Daryl's like, shh. If we don't listen to this, we won't recognize the musical themes when they're played later.
Very true, especially in Sweeney Todd, which one of my pet peeves is that every song sounds the same. So,
But yeah, totally the only reason the song is there is so that they can use it later. I
Yeah,
feel like.
and it seriously just doesn't fit. It comes out of
and
nowhere.
maybe to fill 5 minutes.
Honestly, kind of fun, though, and a lot of good musical tropes, to be honest with you. Like, a group of girls cuts off and goes over and dances on a table and does the whole, like, swing your hair around. Like, classic musical dance moves, and the way that they would, like, pair people off to do certain dance moves and then cut to something else. Like, it was just completely a classical musical sequence. But honestly, just didn't fit.
They threw in some comedy sprinklings, like you mentioned, the lunch lady kind of singing along. She was, like, jamming out at the beginning. And honestly, this was the catchiest song that they had in the whole entire movie.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. It really was just a fun musical number for me. I really enjoyed it. Like, I would not be sad to watch it again, to be honest with you. But that's just me.
Because you like it.
Because I like it. Cut to, they're in the parking lot, and Blondie convinces boyfriend to go with her to film something at the soup kitchen. Yeah. And his girlfriend is singing in the Christmas show later, and she makes him promise that he'll make it back in time. And he's like, absolutely, I'll be there, no problem. And yeah, anyway, you set it up so that you know they're going to get separated.
Yeah.
Period, end of discussion. So, Anna goes out into the parking lot. Blondie's trying to get in her car, but she doesn't have her keys because the assistant principal took them.
Yeah, she's got like
And they have this like kind of emotional scene, like Anna's mom is dead, but she's trying to like identify with the blonde girl, and she's like, hey, it must be kind of nice not have your parents around or whatever, like trying to be nice about it. And Anna's like, no, they left me. It sucks. Like, she was getting kind of honest with her, and then she's like, at least you don't have your mom around to give you a hard time. And Anna's like, ouch, and like walks away, right? And Blondie's immediately like, well, that was a dick move. It happened, and walks away. Like, it just wasn't. And you're like, why is this happening? And like, it's completely unnecessary interaction, to be honest with you. So then as she's walking away, Anna bumps into a zombie in the parking lot and doesn't realize what's happening. Like, she's just like, oh, sorry, and keeps walking. And the guy turns around and he's like, oh. And you're like, cool. There's a sneaky zombie. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then they just, nothing else. That's it.
So I'm trying to decide if that was just them being influenced and inspired by Shaun of the Dead, or if they were making a joke about how teenagers are so self-absorbed that they don't recognize things about them.
You know, I kind of felt like there was a huge push on that in this movie, so I'm glad you brought it up. There's a whole 2 songs about it where kids have no idea what's happening in the world around them because they're stuck to their phone or their electronics or whatever.
Or just sucked into their own drama.
Whatever, their whole own universe. Yeah. So I definitely think that was part of it, as the kids don't pay attention to anything around them.
Well, and I remember being like looking back as a teenager, I was a self-absorbed monster.
The world revolved around me. I knew better than everyone else. And how dare you think you have problems? You have no idea what problems are. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Just screaming at my parents, like, you don't understand. I'm so stressed right now. Not thinking about how my parents are probably, like, terrified of how they're going to pay the mortgage. And I'm just kind of bummed because I didn't get asked to prom.
Right? Oh, goodness.
So, yeah. So I think that it was
I had quite a deal of drama in high school. But still, like, it doesn't... Aliens are taking over the world. Wait. So anyway, cut to the school Christmas show.
Which is...
The very first musical number is penguins rapping.
Yes.
About fish.
In the sea.
How there's plenty of fish in the sea,
but
we don't got enough to eat. Yeah.
And their dance moves are just terrible.
Hilarious penguin dancing, like... And still, I'm in that this movie is frickin' amazing place because penguins are rapping on my television right now. Well, there's nothing wrong with this.
They'd cut from the mediocre action on stage to Assistant Headmaster Savage, who's just like crossed-armed and livid.
In the sound box, just like, why is this happening? This is not what we rehearsed. Yeah.
So we agreed that was amazing.
Yes.
And then they topped it so well.
So then Anna's friend, what's her name again? Lisa, BFF, comes out and she is singing a song about Santa.
She's in this beautiful blue sequined ball gown thing.
She is totally doing the lounge singer act.
Oh, yeah. Jessica Rabbit all the way.
Yep. She comes out. She does the whole, like, arms above your head, like, rub down one arm. Sing a song, put your arms out, turn around. Yeah. Like, she had the whole lounge singer act. I think she was even snapping at one point. She was all over it. Sings a very seductive Santa song.
It was quite bawdy.
Quite bawdy. With some very inappropriate connotations.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
And we were laughing so hard. We were like crying. So, yeah, definitely.
Basically, any dirty joke you can imagine about unwrapping a package or chimneys.
Anything. It was in this song.
They twisted it to make it dirty, and Mr. Savage was like, even more.
He was furious and goes to storm the stage.
And she has backup dancers behind her.
Oh my gosh, shirtless Santa dancers with like canes.
Candy canes,
like seductively dancing behind her. Mm-hmm. Suggestive movements with the candy canes, all of it. The whole deal.
This is the best part of the movie.
Hilarious.
It peaked. It peaked right here.
So hilarious. I would say it peaked then. Next scene.
I was picturing a mountain with like a peak.
A little peak.
And then like a tiny little neighbor peak right next to it.
And then, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, she sings this amazing song. The assistant principal is pissed. He goes to storm the stage door. Also, best friend's boyfriend was a no-show. Didn't
Sadness.
Yeah. But his grandma was there cheering her on heartily. So she was, that's fine. So as the assistant principal goes to storm the stage, he hears like a pounding on the door and he opens the door and there's like bloody handprints, like blood smears on the other side of the door, but nothing is there.
Yeah.
And he's just like, whatever, and shuts the door and walks on his way.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he sees the smears because the camera angle, it's like all he saw was that there was no one actually at the door.
Mm-hmm. So then cut to John and Anna are working at the bowling alley. Yeah. Apparently. They work at a bowling alley together. No segue. So they're at the bowling alley. People are leaving for the night. They go to pick up shoes. Anna has like a push broom and she hits one of the shoes into a garbage can, which says put shoes here. Yeah. She hits it in like with a hockey stick kind of, and it just boom right in the garbage can. And John's like, oh yeah, watch this, and picks up a shoe and goes to like throw it in the garbage bin and hits an old lady in the back of the head, and she falls to the ground.
She's like the cleaning lady.
She's like the cleaning lady. Because he talks about later that the cleaning lady was slightly concussed. So then they're walking home and he's like, well, I'm pretty sure I just lost my job. And they stop to make snow angels. They have a really cutesy moment. You can tell John just like is trying to make her laugh and is just loving being so close to her in the snow. And she kind of like, it's hard for me to determine how she's feeling at this point.
Yeah, I think she views him as just a friend and loves him and appreciates him. But and she's sharing a little bit about a memory of her mom that she and her dad used to make snow angels and mom would judge them and they don't anymore.
Yeah. She was kind of having a sad moment, so he made her laugh. Yeah. And then he looked so proud of himself that he like cheered her up. Mm-hmm. And it was a really cutesy moment. Having been in a similar situation a time or two in my life, I sort of felt for both of these characters. All of a sudden, it's morning time. And Anna wakes up. She's wearing the most amazing, like, fleece penguin onesie. And she wakes up late, and she's like, crap. She jumps out of bed, and she runs out, like, grabs her towel, like she's going to go take a shower, runs out of her bedroom, comes back in, takes a piece of candy out of the advent calendar, and runs off again, which I just found so adorable.
Yeah.
So then she's leaving the house. She has her headphones in, and she's singing a song. Chaos is happening all around her. There's like cars crashed into light poles. People are coming out of their houses screaming. There's zombies. She has no idea any of this is happening. There's like fire blazing in the distance behind her. She has no idea. And then John joins in and starts singing the same thing. Oh, it's What a Time to Be Alive. That's what they're singing. They're singing a song about what a time to be alive. And John is also dancing, rocking it out. He said the night before, she said she was going to go to Australia. And he's like, I'm going to start running to school so that I can get in shape. We'll go, hike the outback or whatever. And so he's like running. And I assumed he was just like running to school. He's wearing another ridiculous Christmas sweater. They meet up in a cemetery. I don't know. Maybe that's the halfway point.
Yeah.
Cool. So they're in a cemetery. They meet up. They kind of have a dance off when they see each other. It's hilarious. It's adorable. And then they turn around and there's like a snowman costume kind of lurching towards them. And it's a zombie. And when he like collapses.
Yeah.
And she comes over and she's like, hey, I'm a
first responder
or something. Yeah. I'm here to help you. And she like goes to turn him over and he's a zombie and he tries to bite her.
And she kicks him.
And they immediately start running and they end up on this playground. And the zombie comes. She's trying to like hit him with her backpack. And she says something to John like, well, you're not going to do anything. And he kind of looks upset about that.
Because she's
right. So this is another one of those amazing parts. Like, so the snowman comes up, she hits him with the teeter-totter with such force it knocks his head off.
Yes.
So then they're sitting talking about like what they should do next. And he's like, there are zombies. And she's like, well, maybe it's not that. He's like, that's not normal. And points to just like the zombie head, like just laying there while the guy's like, rah, because it's
in
been
a snowman
decapitated.
Yeah.
So they
decapitated.
Decapitate? I don't know. So then they decide they're going to go to the bowling alley. I'm honestly not sure about their logic here.
Oh, yeah. So they can't get a cell phone signal.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the bowling alley was closer to them than school.
Okay.
So
and they decide they want to go
a
see if there's
computer.
internet.
Yeah.
So they go to the bowling alley. They get to the other side of town, and a tree is just on fire, and they were just like, the world is ending.
That was my favorite transition in the whole movie.
Yeah. Oh, he says, let's go to work. Maybe it won't be so bad.
Yeah.
And then cutscene, they're standing in front of a tree on fire in the middle of, like, town.
With sirens blazing in the background.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty clever. And they both comment to each other that they hadn't seen their respective parents that morning.
Yeah.
Like, he hadn't seen his mom. She hadn't seen her dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so their logic is they might still be at the school for, maybe they got trapped there.
Yeah. So they head to the bowling alley.
Yeah.
So it cuts to the school, and all the Christmas concert people are there.
Mm-hmm.
And the principal won't let them leave.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to keep them there because he says it's safer. Then they'll send someone to get us. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So then Anna and John get to the bowling alley. Boyfriend and Blondie are already there. And they walk in, and Boyfriend's like, I told you they'd come. So they walk in, and she's like, no, we have to check and make sure they're not bitten. And Anna and John are like, we're fine. And, like, the boyfriend's like, it's fine. And Blondie's just like, fine. And they pull up the internet, and the news is all talking about how it's the end of the world. It's the zombie apocalypse, and the army's going to come get everybody.
Yeah, the internet or social media or something tells them that they should go to the school because that's where the army will rescue them.
They're going to have an evacuation.
Yeah.
Boyfriend immediately starts looking stuff up on his phone, and he's like, guys, Justin Bieber is a zombie. Yeah. And then he's like, oh my gosh, you have to check this out. And they Google hashtag evac selfie. Mm-hmm. And it's all of these people like taking selfies with zombies as they're being evacuated. And then John says, well, maybe we do all deserve to go extinct.
Which I loved. Because
yes.
there was, by this one in the movie, there's quite a bit satirizing actual life.
Yes.
Too much internet.
So then there's a great scene of the two boys. There's a random ball pit in the bowling alley, which, gross. But there's a random ball pit in the bowling alley. So the boys are in the ball pit talking about which famous people might be zombies. Like Robert Downey Jr. is definitely safe because you don't kill Iron Man. And
what about Taylor Swift? Is Taylor Swift a zombie?
And John gets all upset. He's like, no, Tay-Tay is fine. And yeah, they're like debating all of these famous people, and it was actually really funny because I think that was, again, satire on us humans are way too involved in the lives of famous people and are more concerned about their well-being than, like, our neighbors.
Right.
Because they weren't like, is Mr. Jones going to be a zombie? No, it was Robert Downey Jr. So it's funny because they, you know, the boys are all worried about famous people and Taylor Swift, and it cuts to the girls and they're like, what about the people in France and, like, the rest
Paris
of the world?
Okay?
Yeah. And then they find the cleaning lady who had got concussed with a shoe the night before, and she is a zombie. And Blondie, like, sticks her head in a toilet and cuts her head off with the toilet seat. I don't understand how she did that.
I don't know either. There was a lot more blood than I had expected.
She's real brutal, that blonde girl. So, yeah, beheads the cleaning lady right quick. No second thoughts about it. And then more zombies burst through the wall of the bowling alley and, like, come at them all.
And this is the scene where I took note of a full star for creative zombie deaths.
This whole scene was magical.
Yeah. One of them kills a zombie by picking up 2 bowling balls and smashing the zombie's head. And it, like, explodes out the top.
So John does this and then immediately throws up. And blonde girl, like, spatula somebody through the mouth up into their brain. And boyfriend, like, beans somebody with a bowling pin. And, like...
And somebody else gets a zombie into the bowling pin area. And when that pin reset thing comes down, it decapitates the zombie.
Yeah. So all the bowling... zombie fighting tools. I'm gonna go to a bowling alley.
Yeah, who knew that was the place?
Yeah, zombie apocalypse bowling alley is the place to go. So yeah, fantastic. They finish fighting the zombies, and there's all these, like, apocalypse scenes being shown.
Oh yeah, and like just random carnage.
There's just this tire on fire rolling down the street, and I just thought it was so funny.
I thought Jill was laughing at nothing. I was like, what is so funny? And she says, what? Random tires on fire don't make you laugh?
Because at this point, this movie was straight comedy, and it was just building and building on itself to the point where I was hysterically laughing at a tire rolling down the street.
Super slap
because
happy.
I was already, like, at a 10 comedy-wise.
So... this is exactly the moment where the movie starts getting heavy. Right after Jill laughs nonsensically at a tire, they cut to the school. People are worried, and Anna's dad is crying and looking out the window because he's so worried about his daughter.
And then it cuts to everyone in the bowling alley singing I Need a Human Voice, talking about feeling isolated and wanting to get a hold of their loved ones.
Yeah. And it was a heavy. Yeah.
Everyone's crying. It shows, like, the girlfriend at the high school and how she's just, like, they're all staring at their phones with no service with the background of the ones they love, like, on their phone. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing they can do to get a hold of each other. And then all of a sudden it's morning. Yeah. Oh, they were all sleeping in the ball pit together. Yeah. Because that's the place. It's got to be so germy. Oh. It just freaked me out.
So, yeah. Feet everywhere. Feet in bowling shoes, feet in ball pits.
So they look out the window, and there's an army of zombies.
A literal army.
People. So they're like, well, the army's not coming. There's not going to be an evacuation. So we have to get to the school. So they do the amazing Pirates of the Caribbean thing is the only thing I can think of. They put the inflatable ball pit, which is like an inflatable pool, over their heads and start crawling down the street.
Which was honestly hilarious.
So they're, like, in this pool, and they, like, stop for a minute because there's people, and then somebody's, like, peeing on the outside of the pool.
So they have to stop because the zombie's coming closer to them, so they stop and they hunker down to the ground so the pool is totally covering them. Yeah. And then a sudden weight presses down on blonde Steph's head. And one of them puts his hand outside to use his cell phone, kind of like a mirror, and sees that it is an elderly zombie woman who is sitting on Steph's head, which he calls her face. It's the top of her head, but the phrase, an old woman is sitting on your face, is way more hilarious. So then the elderly zombie woman starts urinating on Steph's head. She's freaking out.
They're like, it's fine, you're covered by the pool. She's like, it's still warm. And then blood starts splattering all over the pool.
From the outside.
So they peek out, And ex-boyfriend and 3 of his buddies are just going to town on this, like, horde of grandparents that were on a bus, like, headed to the nursing home and are now zombies.
Yes. They've been looting, and
They've been looting.
I
and
like
she
how
basically...
even-handed they looted, too, because shopping cart full of toilet paper, shopping cart full of soda, and definitely a PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
So...
And Anna's kind of giving him a hard time, like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, what? We gotta survive. Like, we're doing what we gotta do. And then he sings this incredible song about how he's the top of his pack when he's fighting zombies.
Top of his class.
Top of his class, that's what it is. And he, like... has a baseball bat and he's like killing all these zombies while singing about how he's the top of the class when he's fighting zombies. It's a super masculine song, which Caryn mentioned earlier. He then all of a sudden will go into falsetto, really high, squeaky voice, which, I mean, he pulled it off, but why? Because that's not something people usually equate with being manly, even though it's a very difficult thing to do and still hold a tune. Like... not a thing. You don't hear a high squeaky voice and think, ooh, manly.
Well, I liked it because the tone of the music, the style of the music, there was a little bit of like 80s synth in there. And I think that there was a lot of popular falsetto stuff going on in the 80s. So
I think it was definitely an 80s throwback.
This is the song that really hammered home to me that whoever wrote the music for this movie, it was a labor of love. Like, they really put a lot of heart into the songs.
For sure. So while he's singing this song, he, like, menaces John with a zombie. Like, he's, like, holding it with his baseball bat and kind of shakes it at John, who's like, oh! And, like, that's the kind of person this fella is, you know, right away. So they decide they're all going to stick together and go to the school. So they all start heading to the school. Anna and John are taking turns pushing each other in a shopping cart because I guess they're tired. I don't know. They don't really mention why that's happening.
They appear to be alone. Or they're way farther behind everyone else. Yeah. And this is another one of those scenes where I wasn't sure where they were.
What was happening. I don't know. It kind of looked like a mall, but then it was kind of outside.
Yeah,
so,
like maybe a high street in their town or something, but...
no idea.
But yeah.
So they're in a shopping cart, and John, like, they're talking about, John's like, well, I guess now you have to stay, which is pretty great. And she's like, why do I have to stay? And he's like, well, the world's ending.
Yeah.
And she says to him, like, in a very somber, like, John, you're my best friend. Like, I will never be interested in you as more than a friend. And he's like, got it. So she, like, said it without having to say it, right? Like, she said, you're important to me.
And she says, you're my best friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think he was like, oh, that's it. Cool.
Yeah.
The ex and his buddies decide we need to go through this Christmas tree lot because we just remembered we're in a Christmas movie. We have to go through this Christmas tree lot. It's a shortcut to get through the school. And it's like a Christmas tree emporium is what they call it. So it's like a building full of, like, a forest of Christmas trees. Don't know why this is the creepiest thing in the whole world. So, not really creepy because it wasn't actually scary. But they sort of tried to make it scary. It was, like, darkly lit.
It was kind of an inside Christmas version of that feeling when you're out in the woods and you can feel something watching you, but you can't see it because of all the trees. So
they're going through that. They kind of all get split up. Anna and John are kind of together, but she loses him at one point, but she meets up with her ex-boyfriend. And the best friend guy trips and loses his phone, and Blondie has to save him. And she's like, why didn't you just leave your phone behind? And he's like, it's the only evidence I have of my grandma and my girlfriend. And she's like, oh, right. And again, gets really heavy for no reason.
Yeah.
Except then for the rest of the movie, it is just really heavy.
Yeah, pretty much. This is a turning point. The turning point sort of started with that really heavy song about wanting a human voice. And this is where it kind of really left comedy behind.
Got way worse. So they all get out of the Emporium. John gets bit on the hand as they come out. He, like, puts his hands out in, like, celebration and gets bit on the hand. He knows what that means and decides to, and they have to get past this army of zombies to get to everybody else. The ex-boyfriend's buddies all became zombies in the tree lot. So all that's left is Blondie, best friend, ex-boyfriend, John and Anna. Mm-hmm. So John and Anna are separate from the others. They have to get past this, like, army of zombies to get to safety. And John's like, well, crap, I've just been bitten. Grabs Anna and protects her to get her through this horde of zombies, pushes her away, and sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
Which, again, is horrible.
A real bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Anna starts freaking out and, like, screaming, and her ex-boyfriend's trying to hold her back, and she's really mad. And they're just like, we have to go. We have to keep going. And she's just like, I can't.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this movie just became something completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, because I honestly wasn't expecting him to die at all.
Right.
And certainly not that soon.
No.
Like, here's a spoiler for Shaun of the Dead, so fast forward 30 seconds if you haven't seen the end of that movie. But it's like how the best friend at the end of Shaun of the Dead turns into a zombie, but they keep it light. There's a comedy element at the end still.
Absolutely.
It doesn't change its tone.
Yeah. It knows what it is and it keeps it there.
Yeah.
This movie, all of a sudden, you're like, wait, what kind of a movie am I watching now? So, John's gone. Anna, like, gets her resolve face on and gets handed this giant candy cane with a pointy end. And they fight off zombies and get out of there. One of which is a zombie Santa.
Yeah.
Because of course it is. And then they get to the school. And the assistant principal is just chilling behind the front desk, like, eating.
Too calm.
And they walk in and they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm glad you're here. Your parents almost left, but I convinced them to stay, or something. I can't remember what he said.
Yeah, and he says that he's eating his Christmas dinner.
Yeah. Super weird.
He's definitely lost his mind.
Yeah, he takes the kids in and throws them into the cafeteria, which is where everyone was before, and everyone is a zombie. Principal locks them in, pulls down, like, all the windows, doors, everything have those cages on them that, you know, like, storefronts have that lock things out. So the principal is behind these cages in the kitchen singing "Nothing's Gonna Stop Me Now" as the kids are fighting off this horde of zombies.
It's his big villain moment.
Yeah. And he clearly has lost his ever-loving mind.
Yeah.
His hair is even messed up to signify that he is now a crazy person. So he's just doing this whole crazy dance around the kitchen where he's just like, I'm on top of the world. These kids are crazy and I hate them all. And they're all super self-centered, which is what we were talking about earlier, that they keep kind of focusing on that in the movie. So he's really hates children, but is a principal because that's how these things work in movies.
Yeah.
So, which I feel like in real life, to be a school administrator, you have to really love children and education, but it never is that way in movies.
Yeah.
So I find that kind of annoying.
Well,
but anyway.
I definitely had my fair share of jaded teachers, especially in high school, the ones that you could tell had given up. But I think I can't hold it against any teacher that's jaded, especially where we live, where they're so wildly underpaid and they have way too many kids in their classrooms.
Absolutely. So. I mean, I completely get it, but I think there has to be this, like, passion for the kids and the teaching, too.
Yeah.
To be able to work for that little amount of pay.
Yeah.
And to do what they do.
Oh, totally.
And so I think there comes a point where they get jaded and they get ridiculous, but they're there because they love it, ultimately.
Yeah, and this Mr. Savage dude, I don't think he ever liked it.
Yeah. No. Like, why is he a teacher? Maybe they pay better in Britain. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so they fight all the zombies off, get through one of the windows, and get out. Mm-hmm. And the assistant principal, like, runs away. And
they decide, in classic horror film fashion, to split up.
Let's split up? Yeah. So boyfriend and Blondie head in one direction. X and Anna head in the other direction, looking for her dad. They go look for Nana and girlfriend.
Nana.
So boyfriend finds his girlfriend. Grandma's heart gave out. She's not a zombie, but she died. So then there's this really somber moment with dead grandma where he's like, well, at least she's not one of them. And, like, kisses her and is like, bye, Nana. And Blondie's in the hallway shedding some tears. And you're just like, cool. Nana couldn't have survived.
Yeah.
Thanks. Like, we just lost John.
Yep.
Now we've got a dead Nana.
It starts shedding characters really quickly.
Real fast now. Yeah. So they decide they're going to go get Blondie's car keys that the assistant principal took in the beginning of the movie. Anna can't find her dad. which I thought he was a teacher because I thought they went into his classroom. That was the impression I got, but maybe not.
Maybe it was his office.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so they don't find him. Zombies come in. She has this huge heart-to-heart with her ex-boyfriend where he's basically like, I think he thought she was mad at him for telling everyone they had sex. Yeah. And she's like, I'm not mad at you about that. I'm mad at you because I trusted you. We talked about having a future together and then you broke up with me.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm mad about is I trusted you and you like broke that trust.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh.
And she accuses him of never doing anything that wasn't just for himself.
Yeah.
And he counters with, well, I had to kill my zombie dad this morning.
Yeah. And this is when we were like, the crap is this? And he starts telling a story about how his dad got bitten and he had to kill him to save everybody else. And like this whole big thing. And he killed his own father.
Yeah, this was like peak teen drama right here.
And yeah, it was just horrible. So then a bunch of zombies come in and he's like, I'll distract him, you get out of here. And like takes one for the team. And she's like, no, I'm not going to leave you. And he's like, you have to, just go. And she leaves. And he's like fighting 10 zombies and starts singing his song as she leaves the classroom. So funny. So then Blondie boyfriend and girlfriend go to get the car keys. They're in the assistant principal's office, which is surrounded by zombies. So Blondie gets in the office, starts finding all of these funny things in the box.
Yeah, like the bin of things that Mr. Savage has confiscated at school.
Did you see the one thing she picked up?
Yeah, the adult thing?
Yeah. Gross. And that's what she's like, gross, and like drops it. She's like horrified. Anyway, so they get the car keys. Boyfriend and girlfriend are trying to distract the zombies so she can get out, and he hooks up his phone so it's playing a video of them. So the zombies are all watching the video like, oh, people. And she's like sneaking out behind him, and then his phone battery dies as they're all like trying to crawl out. So then they have to fight their way out. Boyfriend and girlfriend both get bitten.
Yeah.
And then hold each other in this like super romantic, like, I'm just going to hold you and gaze into your eyes as we both go down with the Titanic old married couple. So
pretty much.
It was really like, well, all right, we're dying like this together.
Yeah.
And just waved to Blondie and she's like, okay, bye. Like,
yeah.
That's it.
It was kind of an unnecessary level of melodrama.
Mm-hmm. So then Anna's still looking for her dad, heads to the auditorium where the assistant principal, for some reason, has her dad tied up in Christmas lights and is like, "Wahaha! This is where it all is." Like, I don't understand why he was holding the dad hostage.
This is one of my biggest confusing things with this film is we've talked about before how in most zombie stuff, especially Walking Dead, that the zombies aren't the real horror thing. It's really people are the most scary thing of all. The whole
actual
Stephen King
humans,
idea.
Yes, are the real monsters, yeah.
But in this film, it felt kind of superfluous to have a human villain on top of the new zombie threat.
Mm-hmm. And his motivations were completely unclear and ridiculous. And so
it's like he just went crazy. Like he lost his mind and he decided he was going to kill everybody and have control of the school.
But not just let them get eaten by zombies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Anna's dad is like wrapped up in Christmas lights in the middle of the like Christmas show set. And the guy's like, "Wahaha, come save your dad now, little girl." And I expected him to twirl his curly mustache, but he didn't do that. So as like her dad was tied up on the train tracks and no, it was just weird. So Anna then remembered she was in a musical and started singing a song about giving one hell of a show and fights her way through the horde of zombies.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, like, it was a fun moment. And I felt like had they stuck more with this kind of feeling, I would have liked the movie more.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, boom, okay, I'm going to give them one hell of a show. She kind of dance fights with the zombies. They did the, like, classic musical moment where she runs through, like, a tunnel of people with their hands up who all collapse behind her. Like, it was like a can-can line sort of situation. And she gets up to the stage and, like, flips onto the stage.
Yeah.
And the assistant principal's like, oh, no. Like, I kind of expected it to turn black and white and do that thing where he makes a face and then the words pop up. And anyway, so they start fighting on the stage. And she unties her dad. They have, like, this whole fight. The dad's fighting him. And he decides to let the assistant principal live. And then the assistant principal, like, tries to attack Anna. No, tries to attack the dad again.
One of those.
I don't know. Anyway,
things.
so Anna unties the rope that conveniently is located right next to her, and she lets go, and the star hanging at the top of the stage swings down and hits the assistant principal and knocks him into the horde of zombies.
Yeah. So
yeah. It really felt like one of those black and white movie villain moments.
Vaudeville.
For me. Vaudeville. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if they had leaned into that more for the whole movie,
sure,
that would have been kind of great.
But yeah, this
like
whole
again,
thing
that would
weird.
have been Velocipaster and Kung Fury level genius.
I just wish they would have decided what kind of a movie they wanted to make and made it.
Yeah.
But instead it was like really emotional and heart-wrenching and then hilarious and then weird and then, you know, like it just was too many things.
Yeah, it spread itself too thin.
Dad got bitten through all of this, and Anna just starts breaking down.
Yeah, of course, because the movie hasn't had enough tragedy with boyfriend and grandma dying.
Right? So, cool, let's kill the dad.
And I'm pretty sure that they only killed the dad so that she could be like, oh boy, all I ever wanted was to be on my own and get away from my dad, and now he's gone.
And now I get,
Yeah.
So, she offers, she's like, do you want me to take care of it? Like, do you want me to kill you? And her ex-boyfriend pops in, because he's alive, and says, no, don't do it. Like, I know you don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you're right. And then they just leave. Mm-hmm. And then there's this teary, Merry Christmas, Anna. Merry Christmas, Dad. She, like, runs out. I rolled my eyes real hard. Because, oh, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. So then they go outside, and there's zombies everywhere, but plenty of ways they could still get out. Mm-hmm. But instead, they stand back to back and sing a song about how all their dreams are gone, but hope, as they can hold on to hope or something.
Yeah.
But then they just stand there and let the zombies, like,
come at them
instead of try to get away or fight or anything. And it shows while they're singing this song about how they need to hold on to hope and hold on to the light and all this stuff, shows all the friends zombies. So, like, boyfriend and best friend are zombies, and they walk past each other and, like, brush hands. Mm-hmm. And John the zombie is, like, sitting outside the Christmas tree emporium, and he's all zombified, and then his sweater lights up for some reason. So then the zombies just come at him, and they just kind of stand there, and then Blondie rolls up in a car. They all get in and drive away. And then she just says, where to next? And then the song, No Such Thing as a Hollywood Ending, plays. And then Zombie Santa's face pops into the screen.
For like a last-minute jump scare, yeah. So that was Anna and the Apocalypse.
Yeah. So really, I mean, there were definitely things I liked about it. There was enough fun musical moments that I was entertained. And I didn't want to turn it off, but we checked to see how much was left.
Yes, we did. Because if there was too much, I was going to pull the plug.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
Because I was over it.
It's so weird for me to love a movie so much and then have it crash so hard so fast.
Yeah.
And it really, that last half of the movie felt so long. Mm-hmm. It was too slow. And
it was too heavy.
And too heavy.
It was a slog.
They didn't know what they wanted the movie to be because they kept trying to push in these random funny moments like John's Christmas sweater lighting up. Like, why? Do you know what I mean? But there wasn't enough funny moments. So I just wish this movie would have decided what it wanted to be and gone with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think horror is hard to nail an ending too. And that's why when it works so well, those are the movies that you love forever and that are amazing and mind-blowing. And it's kind of like the ex-boyfriend thing, where if it wasn't for movies that didn't nail it, you wouldn't even appreciate it as much when they do.
True. Well, and I don't mind the ambiguous ending, honestly. The, like, where to next? Like, I would have been like, oh, that's cheesy and ridiculous, but whatever. Had the rest of the movie kept with the cheesy and ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the ending worked with the beginning, but not with that
the third act.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I definitely won't watch it again.
Yep. That's fair.
Don't know who I would recommend it to. In my mind, I'm thinking about our website rating where I put recommendations for who to watch it with, and I don't know. I guess rabid fans of High School Musical, maybe?
But I don't even know that they would like it.
Yeah. That rare cross-section of fans who love High School Musical and Dr. Horrible. Yeah. Maybe just Dr. Horrible fans?
Maybe. Because we did talk about how Caryn and I, neither one of us is a very big Dr. Horrible and a sing-along blog fan.
Yeah.
I sort of enjoyed it, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
It was weird.
I love all of the people involved in it.
Yes. I expected to love it a lot more than I did.
Well, and as we discussed at the top of the podcast, I am a hard sell on most musicals.
Yeah.
The style of musical I'm very particular about. The quality of the production I'm really picky about. Mm-hmm. I like being pleasantly surprised, though. So I'm usually willing to give it a go, especially if it's with you or with Danielle or with somebody that I just genuinely enjoy being in their company and I'm willing to do almost anything.
Well, and I feel like we're at the point where I know what you might like and what you definitely won't. Yeah. So, like, if I'm going to recommend something to you, it's going to be one that I'm like, there's a pretty good chance you're going to like this one. Yeah. You know?
Like Wicked.
Yes.
Love Wicked.
How do you not love it?
So, if you are that rare cross-section of people, maybe watch this movie.
Sure. And honestly, if you're curious, give it a go. Maybe you liked it more than us. And if you did, please tell us why. We want to hear about it. And we would love to know what you actually thought of this movie as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah, play with us.
Yeah.
We're on social media. Talk to us. Give me something to do on Twitter besides get angry. Anyway.
And as always, like last week, you know, my cousin Mike recommended we watch Wait Until Dark. If any of you have any recommendations, want to reach out to us, honestly, we are up for it. We clearly proved tonight we will watch anything.
Yeah, feel free to send us an email at screamgirlsquad@gmail.com. It doesn't have to be a request. If you have feedback on a movie we watched and you want to send us a little voice recording that I can integrate into the episode, that'd be pretty fun. You've got a couple weeks to think about it because Jill and I are taking the next 2 weeks off for the holidays.
Yep.
This is the last official episode of 2019.
Cry face.
Oh my gosh. So
give us a good one to start out 2020 strong with.
Please. Something really scary.
Something really good. Because I feel like we haven't watched like a good scary one in a while. Yeah. So even if we have to watch one we know we both are scared of. But I would rather watch something I haven't seen.
There are a couple movies out that I haven't watched because I think they might scare me a little bit. We were going to watch Eli that one day. And then we decided we were both more in a lighthearted mood. So that's still out there.
Dr. Sleep, if it comes out
Gotta
on video.
see Dr. Sleep,
I want to see it so bad. It seems like there was something else, too. Anyway, we'll come up with it.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
But in the meantime, happy holidays, and thanks for listening to Scream Girl Squad.
Woo!